Grace and I are excited because we're making a special surprise for David for Father's Day. Everybody has in their family kind of that favorite recipe that grandmother makes, or in this case, our grandmama makes. And David's mom makes a Hershey bar cake. And it is rich and chocolatey, and it's one of my husband's favorites. In fact, when she used to ask him, what dessert do you want me to make for you? He would say Hershey bar cake. And so I was talking with her about her recipe, and I decided we could low carb it, Grace and I. So we have a basic chocolate cake recipe that's out, and we're using that basic chocolate cake recipe to make a Copycat Hershey cake bar. And we're going to tell you about it a little bit more as we go along. Grace has 2 cups of heavy cream, and she's whipping that. Keep going. She's been whipping it. She's been whipping it for at least a minute or so, and she's going to keep until it's a really thick consistency. When I got David's mom to share her recipe with me, I asked her, she told me exactly how she made it. And so she uses a chocolate box mix, and we didn't do that. We made a low-carb chocolate cake. But she also uses, in the icing, which is like the best part, she uses Cool Whip, which we would not use. So we're using heavy cream instead. She used cream cheese, which is great for low carb, and she uses powdered sugar. Well, we've got Sukrin Melis powdered sugar, and it's a low carb confectioner sugar made with erythritol and stevia blend. So we're using that. So Grace is taking the 2 cups, and you want it to be thick. It's not quite thick enough, Gracie. You want it to be where it stands up. You're almost there. So keep going with it. But she's using the blender, and you're going to go for about 3 minutes. Make sure your cream is really cold because it whips up better. And if you use heavy cream, it whips up better than heavy whipping cream, actually, because of the milk fat. Okay. And while Grace is whipping this, I'm going to get this ready. I have a full cup of the Sukrin confectioner sugar. I'm going to put that in the bottom so it doesn't go everywhere like a snowfall. And we're really excited about this recipe, I have to say, because it is something that really, I say it's David's favorite, but it's really been one of my favorites. And I'm using the Sukrin Milk Chocolate. I just made a mess. I'm using the Sukrin Milk Chocolate because it's really hard to find. Oh, that's good, Grace. It's hard to find a good low-carb milk chocolate. Look at that. It's kind of got some almost like stiff peaks going on. That's perfect. All right, use, if you will, the blender. Let's get as much of this off as we can, of the cream. And this is just cream. We haven't added any sweetener to it yet, right?
Where's the blender? What?
The mixer. This is a hand mixer. The blender's like the thing that I make cauli mash on. Okay, so this is the cream cheese. It's 8 ounces of cream cheese that's been at room temperature, and it's 1 cup of the confectioner's Sukrin. So Grace is going to blend that up, and the Sukrin milk chocolate is low carb. Coco Polo makes a milk chocolate that's really good if you can't get your hands on the Sukrin. The Sukrin milk chocolate is just a really good milk chocolate made with erythritol. And they were kind enough to send us milk chocolate to make this recipe. Sukrin doesn't endorse, you don't get any money from them, but they do send me the products. And I'll send you the link on where you can order them with a 10% discount if you're interested. Got that good and mixed up? Okay, let's add to that a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And that wasn't in the original recipe, but we're not using Cool Whip, so we want that vanilla flavor. Can you put that in? And this is so simple. Once Grace gets that mixed really well, I'm not sure the cream cheese isn't kind of chunky still. You want to make sure you get it really well mixed. You know, scrape down the sides. And I'll add some liquid sweetener to this too. Go. I'll add some liquid sweetener to it as well. And Grace had asked me, Mom, why not just use the confectioner's slurve or the confectioner's Sukrin? Use more of that to sweeten it. What did I tell you? Do you remember? If I use more of the confectioner's Sukrin, it would make it too dry. That's right. It would dry it out. So we use the liquid sweetener because that doesn't happen. All right, you think that's nicely mixed? Mm-hmm. All right, do you want to add that to this or this to that?
Like that.
Okay, you want to add that? Okay. Grace is going to add that to that instead of this to this. And then we'll give that another bit of a blend. We don't have to worry too much about, here Gracie, I need you to scrape it out and scrape it off the beaters, okay? You don't have to worry too much about using the hand mixer with it because that cream will just keep going. Are you having a hard time?
I was going to scrape it out.
I'll get it. You want it here. I'll work on the beaters and you work on the rest of the bowl. You don't have to worry about it deflating. It'll generally just keep whipping. This is going to be more of an icebox cake. You're going to have to keep it in the fridge. If you wanted it thicker, you could probably add some xanthan gum or glucomannan, but because of all the cream, it really is more of an icebox cake. So while I think it's a perfect Father's Day, perfect summer dessert because it's nice and cold, I don't know how well this would travel. Probably, and in fact, I'll be making this next weekend to take to my in-laws, and I'm anxious for my mother-in-law to try it. But I might even like put it together, while I'm there. All right. Let's get this down off the sides, Gracie.
Oh, wait.
We need the spatula, David.
Yeah. Oh, no.
All right. And if you'll mix that all together. Yeah, we're good. Oh, and that tastes really pretty sweet. You could put a couple more drops. Man, that is good. The little bit I got on my hand, I had to clean off. I put 3 drops. You can use liquid stevia or the liquid sucralose, whatever you prefer, for your milk chocolate. We call this our Copycat Hershey bar cake. It's just a really rich cake. Now, when we made the chocolate cake, I got in a hurry. And
a little bit got on my thumb.
How did it taste, that little bit that got on your thumb?
Good.
Is that okay? You want to hand it off and let Dad try it since he's our expert on the Hershey bar cake. When we made our chocolate cake recipe for this, or made the cake pieces for this, we had a hard time with the layers. So you know that we always just keep it real around here. And so you're going to see it's broken up on top, and that's okay. We're making layers, and we're not even going to stress over it. So what I did with the milk chocolate bar, how is that, David?
It's good.
With the milk chocolate bar, I took 3 of the Sukrin bar and chopped them up. And so I just chopped them in small pieces, almost like shavings, and that's what gives it, it's that texture that gives it a really great taste. And my assistant's going to mix those up. And like I said, when we were doing the cakes, we had a hard time. So you're going to see these layers are just a hot mess. And I'm anxious to see how it's going to look when we put it together. The good thing is we're going to take it and cover it all with icing. So, you know, you can't go wrong with that. I think this one's in 2 pieces. This one's in 3 pieces. We're just going to make it work. Okay. And what we want to do, hang on a second, Gracie. Let's make sure we've got it mixed really well. We got a bit of a mess, don't we? Yeah, you did. You did a good job. What we're going to do is we're going to take, like I said, we did 3 of those bars, which I think was like 4.5 ounces. I can't remember. I weighed them, so I'd remember, and now so much has happened. But we're just going to put a nice dollop. Oh, can you get that spatula out?
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll smooth it out. We're not going to put a ton because remember, we're going to have the 2 inner layers and then the top. So we're not going to make it too thick. We're going to make it maybe a 1/2 inch thick. Thank you, Gracie Poo.
Is there another one?
There's that small one, you know, that's kind of ovally. I'm making a mess. You don't have to worry about getting it on the sides because we're going to ice it with the sides anyway. But that's probably about right. And you don't have to worry about going too far out to the edges because, like I said, we'll be doing the sides, and so we'll get any edges. And when we put the cake, the next layer, that weight will squish some of this down. I think that looks about even. I hope so. Can't wait to try this. Now, this is not one of those cakes that we're going to put together and cut. This needs to sit overnight or so in the fridge. If you don't have time to do it overnight, you can do it, I would do at least 4 or 5 hours. You want it to be nice and chilled all the way through, right? My husband's looking at me like he's really worried how this is going to go. I'm really worried about how this is going to go. We did this all kinds of wrong, but that's okay. Oh, what not to do. I really should have done this so differently, but Anyway.
Well, in what way would you do it differently?
Well, I should have waited for it to cool. It wouldn't have been so crumbly, and I wouldn't have had such a mess. But you know what? We're going to make it work. What do you think? How is it?
Good.
It's like this. It's like the Swiss cake mix that Grandmama would use. We'll put that side down. You want another piece? It does remind me of devil's food. You think? Alrighty. You can hand that to Daddy if he wants to get those crumbs. Okay, let's do this layer. And honestly, I've never had such a hard time. We have been so excited about sharing this cake, and I wasn't able to do it. I wanted to do it before my surgery and ran out of time, so I wasn't able to do it then. And then had an allergic reaction when I had the arm surgery, and so it was a while before I was able to get back to it. And so we've been so excited to do this, and then the layers have been a mess. And I've told you guys I'm enough of a perfectionist that has really bothered me. I'm going to make this, like I said, next weekend for a family get-together for Father's Day, and probably it'll turn out perfect, and I won't be videotaping then. Right, Gracie? Okay. This smells good. It has that look. I think it's going to be perfect. I'm not getting the layers perfect, but what happens once you get it all covered with icing, then it's just really all about the taste. What do you think?
Looks good to me.
Okay. Ideas for how to do this one? It's already in pieces. Jeez.
Might want to pick up each. Oh.
Oh my Lord. Okay, you're gonna try it?
I'll try.
I don't know if that's gonna work, Grace. Okay. Grace is we're gonna do it like a puzzle. All right. It's working so far, Gracie. Don't do this at home. I really suggest using the parchment paper, and then that's going to help. We're making a mess. What are you doing? You want to try some of our chocolate cake? If the puzzle piece doesn't fit, just eat it. You want to try some of the cake?
Just eat it. It tastes like brownie.
It does taste a little bit like brownie, doesn't it? Jonathan, we're trying to make Grandmama's Hershey bar cake. Do you know that cake? Do you like that cake? How do we do?
Good.
You want to try some of the icing? You can put the icing on the top, and we're just going to cover our sins and ask for forgiveness later. Now, hang on, be easy. Be easy when you don't just flop it up there.
I'm dolloping it.
Yeah, well, you're dolloping pretty hard. Like I said, we're just going to cover our sins. We're going to pretend it's all pretty up under there. You know, kind of like wearing clothes. Oh, Lordy Pete. And we might not have enough icing to cover all our sins. So we'll just have to pray about it. Okay. Oh, my Lord. Okay. This may be a blooper video. I think this side of our puzzle piece has fallen off. We have to get the toothpicks out. Okay. Well, every time I've made this, and this is not the first time, believe it or not, I shouldn't admit that. I should pretend like we've never done this before. Every time we've made we've had plenty of icing. Guess what? We don't this time. So, you know what you could do? You could just make it like a tort, you know, like that, and have it kind of artistic, you know? And the good news is that nobody's going to want to eat it because it looks so ugly. You're going to get to keep it all to yourself. Okay, we're going to salvage this. Oh my, how'd that happen? There's a piece of cake in there. Where does it go? Let's put it on the side. We're going to salvage this thing. We may have to make another half batch of icing. So don't put as much icing in the layers as we did. And we're going to have to figure out how to salvage this video as well. So we're going to work on the sides. Give us a 5-minute commercial break. No, give us a few minutes and we'll show you how we cleaned it up. Okay, I think we hid most of the sins. It's like a big Spanx kind of job. We put the Spanx on under the dress and everything looks a little bit better. We put the icing on top of the cake and I think it looks pretty good. We have, like I said, looked forward to making this cake for so long. So we have had to laugh at ourselves and the difficulty we've had with it. We did end up making a little more icing so that we could cover it. And David helpfully pointed out that it was lopsided. So we've turned it so that it looks a little less lopsided.
Most attractive angle.
You guys can probably make this much more attractive. And of course, my inclination is to simply redo this video all over again. And I don't think we'll do that. I think we're just kind of roll with it because we simply don't have time. I want to get this out before Father's Day, but we will make it again and we'll learn from it and we'll add the tips to the comments. This is like an icebox cake, as I mentioned before. And so our milk chocolate Sukrin bar cake, our Hershey bar Copycat, needs to go in the fridge. So we're not going to cut it right now. We're going to put it in the fridge. Ideally, it would go in overnight. And Grace is like, Mom, do we have to wait that long? So we're going to try to wait 3 or 4 hours and then we'll be back and we'll cut it so you can see what it looks like. Cake is ready. We let it sit in the fridge for a few hours. Grace was anxious to get to try it. We're using our special cake server that Miss Noreen gave us. Can you fix it? It's a high-heeled shoe server. We love this thing. We always use it for our special cakes. Thank you, Miss Noreen. And so Grace wants to cut it. This is the cake we had such an awful time with, falling apart in layers. I don't think that would have happened if we had been more careful and let it cool and been smarter with it. So you guys, please let me know when you make the chocolate cake how it works out. So Grace is cutting a slice. This is a huge cake. I think it would be really easy to get 18 servings out of this, or excuse me, 16 servings out of this. You don't have to cut it quite. If you visualize it in a fourth, and then from that fourth, 4 slices, you're fine. The first piece is always hardest to get out, so. And you may need,
Regular enough.
Yeah. Okay, you want to do it? Grace has said she wanted to do it, so I'm trying to stay back out of it. I should have made a cup of coffee. This is the kind of cake that I think you're going to want a cup of coffee with. Wow, that's gorgeous, Grace, and it stayed together. This is our Sukrin Milk Chocolate Bar cake. Looks really good. All right, wow, it does look,
Don't look
so
that pretty, but
well, let's clean, hang on. I think that part of it was just cutting it, but I think maybe
that icing is rich.
if we dig this part out, and I'll put it on the side of your plate, right?
That, yeah.
It is so moist. Wow. Okay. Notice we only have 2 plates. Let's turn this around so you guys can kind of see inside of it a little bit. And I'm going to try not to lick my fingers, but oh well.
Oh, I didn't.
Poor Daddy is standing there with the camera kind of looking at us.
Like, why?
Like, where's my piece of cake?
Why I not get some?
This is so good.
I'm
This
tingling. Like, I'm literally tingling.
This reminds me of exactly what Grandmama makes.
It's giving me the chills.
When it gets in the fridge, it's cold, and the chocolate is like a little bit crisp. And I have to have another bite. The cake is good. It's very moist. It's not heavy.
Yeah.
This is not like a low carb cake at all. Grace likes it. What do you think,
Look at
David?
my arm. I'm getting chills. Like, it's like warming me inside.
This is a
I'm
great
frozen
texture. You know what?
now. I'm frozen.
You're
Like,
frozen?
I got the chills from it. Like, I'm really cold.
I think that's a good chocolate cake. David, this is one of your favorite desserts that your mom has made for you for years. What do you think? How did we do during the Copycat Hershey bar?
Outstanding.
His mouth is
Two
full
thumbs
of
up.
his mouth is full of cake. He can't answer me. Really, is it very much, because I know you really don't like the Copycat stuff. Is it really very much like what you're used to eating?
Oh, it is. The icing is so rich, it's so sweet. It's just a perfect imitation of the Hershey bar cake. I mean, it is just perfect.
I'm going to have to hide this from my daughter, I think. Yeah, it'll do. Well, happy Father's Day a little early. We didn't do very well at surprising, and we're not good at surprises around here. But we'll make another one for Father's Day. So I am so tickled. I know that the video was a disaster with the cake falling into puzzle pieces. But it really does taste good. And I think that if you make it for your family, that you will be pleased with the results.